Hey guys, what's up? It's Travis. Coming at you with get to the point before 9 o'clock at night, which is kind of weird in itself. I think this one might be a little bit shorter. Honestly, it's kind of scary doing these things because it's kind of like God says, just go for it, and I don't write anything down. So apologies in advance if anyone comes coming up, running down the stairs or anything like that. But I just have a word that I think is pretty deep, and it kind of honestly it stems from a few things. It stems from a song by Jason Gray, which we'll get to, and it stems from me bringing wood in today, and I got this lovely little Band-Aid. So nice and close. It's a nice little Peppa Pig Band-Aid. Nice little Band-Aid because I got a sliver in my finger today, and I got to thinking, in life, how many times, like, you can't heal a sliver without first getting it out, right? Like, this Band-Aid does no good at all if we don't first get that sliver out. And I get to thinking, how many times do we just try to put a Band-Aid on to fix something without first getting out the issues that we need to get out, right? Like, so out throughout our life, we like to just sit there and try to fix things and try to say, oh, this is going to happen and that's going to happen, but we don't first want to fix the root cause of our problem. So that's what I want to touch on today. And when I think about that, it's a song by Jason Gray, and it's titled "The Wound Is Where the Light Gets In." And it's a little bit long, and it's kind of deep, so I'm going to read a few of the lyrics to you guys. It says, I was halfway up the mountain when the rocks I held gave way. I came tumbling like an avalanche to the bottom where I lay. And with a taste of blood and the twist of bone, my healing could begin. 'Cause the wound is where the light, the wound is where the light, the wound is where the light gets in. I've stood there like a hostage with a knife held to my vein, captive to the poison that I took to numb the pain. 'Cause everybody wishes they were born with thicker skin, but the wound is where the light gets in. It's tricky how the heart works when the breakups and the big jerks make us never want to hurt that way again. Maybe I'm naive, but in every scar I see, the place where love is trying to break in, because the wound is where the light gets in. And I got to start thinking about that song because it just seemed so deep to me. So I did a little bit more research, and I went to the story kind of behind the song, and he talked about how it was all about grief, and then he gave a quote from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and she said it this way. She said, "The most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These persons have an appreciation and a sensitivity and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and deep love and concern. Beautiful people don't just happen. In other words, the wound is where the light gets in." What I want to focus on in her quote here, do you notice how she said found? She said found. So right, so instead of just saying, I'm going to put a Band-Aid on and I'm going to fix this issue, you first had to find out what the issue was, right? So instead of just saying, I'm going to work out every day and lose weight, you had to first understand that there's more to than just working out, right? Like, is it the food that's making it so I'm not losing weight, right? Instead of just saying, I'm going to just go off and do X, is there a why that you first have to take care of first, right? So for example, with your relationships, like, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to say the heck with it, I'm going to just love again. But in your heart, is there first something that you need to fix prior to that love? Right? That's what I want us to really tackle today. Instead of just putting the Band-Aid on whatever problem that we have, we first need to dig deep and fix the bigger issues that are happening. And this could be just an array of things, right? It could be cheating, lying, stealing, hurting, never trusting, whatever it is. And instead of just saying, I'm going to do it, or just moving on, at some point in our lives, if we want to move on, we first have to address that issue and fix it. We have to understand that it's okay to be wounded. It's okay to be wounded because the wound is where the light gets in. And the Bible says it awesome in 2 Corinthians 12:9. It says, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." You hear that? My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. Right? So part of why we just stay wounded and we just put a Band-Aid on is because we don't want to be seen as weak. Right? And what Paul's saying here is he's saying, I'm going to boast about the fact that I am weak, that I have weaknesses. I've identified them and I'm working on fixing them. I've found my wounds, and because I've actually identified my wounds, I'm not just applying a band-aid, I'm looking for the solution. And that solution that we have is only found through Christ, right? And that's what I love at the end of this. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. So my challenge for us all today as we go about this is not seeing our wounds as these terrible things, right? And not just overlooking them because we feel like we're a screw up for one reason or another, but understanding that through that wound, the light can get in. But the first thing we have to do is actually look at said wound and work on fixing that, work on healing that wound before we can move on. And when we work on healing that wound, in my opinion, that's when the light's going to get in, right? But we can't just sit there and say that we're going to do this and we're going to do that and just move on without first taking a deeper look at our own lives. The Band-Aid does no good if we don't first wash out our wounds, right? The Band-Aid does no good if we don't first do the dirty work and get that sliver out, right? Then, and only then, after you get that sliver out, that wound can heal. And then, and only then, once that wound's healed, then you're really boasting about Jesus, and you're saying even greater, like, I actually started here. I had to do a lot of soul searching, a lot of digging, a lot of this to get to that point, but praise the Lord, I'm there. And that's not just like a spiritual thing. That's like a weight loss journey thing. That's like a drug addiction thing. Like, I understand that I have a problem, and I can't just mask it by saying this. I need to first address that problem. What got me to the point that I started there? Is it the people that I hung out with? Is it, do I just have things that I'm masking? Whatever it is, we first need to look at the wound. Figure out that wound, and before we can heal it, before we put this Band-Aid on, we need to do the work to dig in a little bit deeper and really fix it. And then understand that that wound doesn't define us, right? That past, that wound, that history, whatever it is, none of that stuff defines who we are. It's who we are now. It's our relationship with Jesus. And then we boast about it, right? We boast about it and we say that in my weaknesses, I'm a screw up, but Christ is still there. And Christ fixed me. And through Christ and Christ alone, I'm made new. So my takeaway today, get out there. Don't worry about anything else. Christ's grace is sufficient for you, right? So don't let your wounds take you away from doing what you're supposed to do, right? Address the wound and move on. Address the wound, and then, then you put the Band-Aid on, this wonderful little Peppa Pig thing, and then you go and you keep bringing wood in, right? Because Christ is sufficient for us. And in our weaknesses, we understand that Christ may rest upon us. So, what are you going to do? You going to let your weaknesses, your wounds, define who you are? Never get over them? Never fix the issues that you have? Or are you going to understand that those wounds are where the light gets in, and you're going to let those wounds heal, and you're going to go out there and you're going to help other people heal by telling them about your wounds, telling them about your scars, and not just saying like, yep, that's who I am, but that's who I was. And I want to get you to that point that you understand that that is what you are right now is not who you are. That is who you were. Because when we move on and we actually put emphasis on changing and we do the dirty work and we do everything that we need to do, man, we are made new. So this video isn't just for people, that think that they're quote-unquote perfect. This video is for those that are hurting. This video is for everybody. Because if you think that you're quote-unquote perfect, then darn it all, we got a mission to go out there and help other people that are hurting be made new. And if you've got issues, man, hold on tight. Because we're going to help you out. But we got to address that wound and let the light get in. And then we go out and we show the light. So get out there. Show the light. Start working on that wound so you can get this sweet little Peppa Pig Band-Aid. And have a wonderful Sunday.